What if you could unlock your inner genius with just 7 seconds of your day? That's the wild promise of a digital product we're diving into today, and honestly, it's one of the boldest claims I've heard in a long, long time.
I mean, just look at this. This is the central promise of a program called Neuro Energizer. It's not just about being a little smarter, they're talking about the cognitive power of one of history's greatest minds, and all it takes is a few seconds a day. And yeah, you can probably guess the first reaction. A promise that big immediately sets off some alarm bells. The author of our source material had a very simple, very relatable reaction. Come on. And really, who can blame him? It sounds way too good to be true. So, let's pull back the curtain. What is this thing really? We're going to unpack the science they claim is behind it, the really bizarre story that inspired it, and what it actually feels like to use it.
Okay, first things first. Beyond that giant genius-level headline, what is this product? At its core, the whole concept is almost shockingly simple. It's not a complicated app. It's not some expensive piece of hardware. It's literally just a 7-second audio file that you listen to once a day. That's it. That's the whole commitment.
But where does a 7-second audio track like this even come from? Well, this is where the story takes a turn into one of the strangest chapters in the history of science.
So the whole theory behind Neuro Energizer, believe it or not, comes from studies on Albert Einstein's actual brain, a brain that famously was taken without permission after he died. Researchers wanted to find the secret to his genius, and they found something, just not what they were expecting. Turns out the big discovery wasn't that his brain was bigger. Nope. It was that it was wired differently. Think of it like this. Most of us have a regular road connecting the two halves of our brain. He had a superhighway. Now, this superhighway has a proper name. It's called the corpus callosum. It's the bundle of nerves that lets your logical left brain talk to your creative right brain. And in Einstein's brain, that bridge was apparently way, way more robust.
They even nicknamed it the Genius Bridge. The theory is that this was the secret sauce. It allowed him to just seamlessly blend hardcore logic with wild creativity to come up with his revolutionary ideas.
Okay, so you've got this unique brain structure. How in the world do you get from that to a 7-second audio file? Well, the story takes another interesting turn, and this one involves violins. Here's the big leap. The program's creator makes this crucial connection. Einstein played the violin every single day, and the theory is that wasn't just a hobby. It was like a daily workout that physically strengthened that corpus callosum, his genius bridge.
So that led to the million-dollar question, right? You've got Einstein's unique brain, and you have this theory about his violin playing. So, could you find a shortcut? Is there a way to get that same effect? To strengthen that neural bridge without having to spend years learning an instrument?
And the proposed shortcut is this concept called brainwave entrainment. It's a fancy term, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Certain sound frequencies can gently guide your brain into a specific state. In this case, the audio track targets theta waves, which are the brainwaves we have when we're in that state of deep creativity and intuition. So, okay, that's the theory. But what did the author actually feel when he put on the headphones and hit play? What's the experience like? He's really clear about this. It wasn't some lightning bolt of inspiration. The immediate feeling was way more subtle. It wasn't like a jolt of coffee. It was more like a calming, a settling of the mind. But over a few days, he did start to notice these small but positive shifts. His focus seemed sharper. He could stick with tasks for longer. Ideas flowed a little more freely. It was less of a kick in the pants and more of a gentle nudge in the right direction. Now, it's worth pointing out if you go to their website, you're going to see some really dramatic testimonials. We're talking people claiming life-changing results. The author makes a note of this, but says his own experience was much more grounded. It suggests that, while a clearer mind can lead to better things, it's probably not a magic button for tripling your income. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's look at the practical stuff. The price, the guarantee, and the author's final takeaway. So, the program costs $39, and the source makes a point of this. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access, no sneaky recurring subscriptions. And this is a big one. It's backed by a 60-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. For the author, that really lowered the barrier to entry. I mean, it basically removes the financial risk of just giving it a shot. And it's not just the audio track. You
You also get instant access to 3 bonus digital guides. They're all about things like brain-friendly foods, habits of successful people, and other ways to optimize your mind. So, the bottom line, the big question, is it a scam? The author concludes that no, based on his own personal experience and the science they presented, it certainly didn't feel like one to him. He's not saying it'll turn you into Einstein, but he felt it was legitimate.
And that leaves us with this final, kind of fascinating question. We live in a world that demands we're always on. So could simple, accessible tools like this become as common as our morning cup of coffee? Just a quick daily tune-up for our minds? It's a pretty compelling thought about where mental fitness might be heading.